All right, what's up, guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video, we've got some green-purple Lim action lined up for you today. That's right, as you can see in the background here on the screen. This leader was already pretty good, all things considered. This was already a pretty decent leader. However, I think there are two cards that have been banned, or that will be banned as of April 1st, 2025, that I think help push this leader up a notch, maybe push it up a tier. And the two cards I'm talking about are Ice Age and Rygo. So now Yellow has one less way to deal with big characters that Lim can drop later in the game, and same idea with Black, losing Ice Age. Now, it's true that Black will have other ways to remove bigger characters, so it's not just completely gone. But at the same time, Lim's not just dropping the big characters, right? Lim is dropping sometimes multiple characters per turn that are pretty big, statted, like 5-cost characters that are 6,000 power bodies. Okay, so maybe there's even a third thing to think about there. Number one, Ice Age is gone, which was helping Black deal with the larger characters. Rygo's gone, which was helping Yellow deal with the bigger characters, and now Jinbei's gone, which was helping Blue fill out the board a little easier to compete with the board that Lim might be producing. And remember, guys, a lot of these characters that Lim is putting out are 5-cost Odyssey characters. So, in other words, cards like Bounce Law, the 4-cost Trafalgar Law that bounces characters back to hand that cost 4 or less, we don't really care, right? So, yeah, we're going to be diving into that in today's video. Let me go and lay it out for you real quick. First things first, we'll head over to the deck list. We'll check out what we're messing around with. Then after that, we're going to go over to the sim. We got 5 games to go over on the sim, and then we'll finish out the video by checking it out one more time, checking out the deck list, talking about possible revisions and replacements and things like that. Real quick, I also want to mention that we will be streaming tonight, guys. For those who are not aware, we stream every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday here on YouTube, here on the channel, from 9 p.m. Eastern to 12 a.m. That's every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday here on YouTube, okay? So be sure to come and hang out with us there and check that out. Okay, now, I'll have everything time-stamped in the general description. I'll have all relevant deck lists and links and things like that down in the comments section below. Please do not hesitate to put any kind of comments, questions, or suggestions down in the comment section, or hop on the VV Theory Discord. Link is in the channel description. This video is sponsored by Nin Garden. Their latest spring collection just dropped with 3 new designs, and to celebrate, they are running a spring sale. Buy one, get any classic mat 40% off with the code SPRINGSALE. Plus, use NIN10 for an automatic 10% off at the checkout. You can stack this with my promo code, the VV Theory, for an additional 5% off, bringing you to a total of 15% total savings on top of the 40% off. All right, so let's go ahead and break down this deck list, guys. We're going to start off with the leader. So we're dealing with a green-purple leader in today's video, a 5,000 power, 4-life Odyssey-type leader, Lim. And their effect is your characters interplay as rested, and then activate main once per turn. You may rest 3 of your Dawn and set up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as rested, so that ramps you a Dawn. And then play a cost 5 or lower Odyssey-type character card from your hand. So understand what's going on here. Now, yes, all of your characters will enter into play rested, so any ideas you might have to add to the list, like 7-cost Hody Jones, or 7-cost Sanji, or even like a 9-cost Rush Kaido or Rush Luffy, not really the greatest addition to the deck, because they're going to enter into play rested right away. Now, I will say this, though, real quick before we move on from that idea. 9-cost Lin might be a decent addition if aggro just takes over the format and we're having trouble staying in the game. We might want to mess around with 9-cost Charlotte Lin. Just keep that in your mind if the meta starts becoming too aggressive. Now, back to what we were saying, though. Everything we play out will come into play rested. So any kind of rush character, we're not going to get any benefit from having a rush character. Now, who knows? Hody Jones might be so good you still consider running it because it gains you a life. It draws you your own life card and it rests down Dawn. Maybe that will be decent going forward. I don't think so personally, but there could be some options there. However, what we do want to develop on the board are these very big, impactful characters. We're ramping to them very consistently with a leader effect, and they're coming into play rested. So, for example, Zoro, he will be in play 1 turn rested. However, hopefully we ramp fast enough and save enough counter power in hand to protect it on the board. Same idea with ADO. Now, Shanks will come into play and just remove a character immediately. I mean, at least theoretically, it will remove a character immediately, or else why would you play out the character? But this card is good for removal, and it's just a massive 9-cost 11k body. However, the two targets we're really going for in this deck are 9-cost Zoro and 9-cost Adio. Those are going to really help us, you know, take control of the game and rush to the late game and immediately take control of it, okay? We're rushing into the late game while our opponent is approaching mid game. That's kind of the idea with this leader effect ramping everything into play. Now, understand this, too. We are ramping out a 5-cost character for 3 Dawn. Okay, that is massive. That's going to help us out. We're ramping Dawn and pushing out a very big character. Notice how most of the characters in this deck are 5-cost 6Ks. Most of the characters in this deck are 5-cost 6Ks. Okay, so that's really good, and we're playing them for 3. So they're really like 3-cost 6Ks, but it's at a massive drawback of having it come into play rested. However, there's a card we'll look at in just a minute that we're getting access to an OP10 that's going to really help us fix that, you know, potentially. Okay, so now let's go ahead and run through the list. We'll talk about it as we go. We're running 2 of the 9-cost Zoros. Oh, real quick, I did not come up with this list. I got it from the East. I made a few little tiny revisions here and there and made it my own, but this is not my own main creation. I got ideas from the East and moved like 2 or 3 cards around, I think. Okay, so with that in mind, so we're running 2 9-cost Zoros. This is our late game card. It's going to help us. If this card sticks one turn, we're basically just going to run them over on the next turn. Okay, we're running 3 Adios. Now, this card I'm a big fan of. It is more of a defensive option. We get it down. We can fill out the board even more with using the effect of this character. On play, if your leader has the Odyssey type, set up to 3 if your Dawn is active. Well, guess what? If we play this out for 9 Dawn and then set 3 as active, we can now use our leader effect to play out another really big character. Okay, or potentially big character like a 5-cost 6K is what I really mean. Okay, so good stuff here. Now, we're running 3 Sakazuki. This is kind of the card that's... How do I say this? This is the most flexible spot in the deck. It is a very strong card, and it's actually kind of unorthodox in the way that it operates for green. Most green removal cards requires you to have a rested character to KO it. Like, you can only KO a rested character most times. Like, for example, with this Edward Newgate. On play, if you have 2 or more rested characters, you can rest up to one of your opponent's characters that cost 5 or less, then KO up to one of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 3 or less. Okay, so you see what's going on there. Usually, and this is true across the board with most green cards. Even look at Shanks here. On play, KO up to one of your opponent's rested characters. Most of green cards KO based off a character being rested and then a cost associated, but in the case of Shanks, it can be anything that's rested. There's no cost association. Sakazuki's a little bit different. Listen to what he does. If you have 2 or more rested characters, like you have rested characters in play, KO up to one of your opponent's cost 5 or lower characters. So you're resting any kind of character. It doesn't have to be rested. You just have to have 2 or more rested characters. Then you can KO up to one of your opponent's cost 5 or lower characters. This is a very strong spot in the deck. It is very versatile, and it will allow us to deal with a bunch of the really pesky 5-cost characters in the game. You can tell Bandai's making a step towards the 5-cost slot in the game. They're trying to make that a very relevant slot. Well, okay, if we have cards that can remove 5-cost or lower characters, then we're dealing with a card that's going to be very solid. So Sakazuki I am running as a 3 of. I think the other decks that I saw running him as a 2 of. I can't remember exactly, but I did like this card quite a bit. However, remember this, guys. This is a 6-cost card. So we cannot cheat this out for 3 with our leader's effect. Okay, just make sure you remember that. Okay, then we're running 4 Sabo. This is a really good card for allowing us to draw. It doesn't stick around usually. If they have any kind of removal, this is an immediate target for their removal if they can get rid of it. It's a 5-cost 6K, 1K counter when attacking once per turn. If you have 3 or more rested characters in play, draw a card. So it's a really nice card to get on the board early on, and sometimes they will invest everything into getting rid of this card, and that's good as well, right? So we actually end up time warping for the most part, and remember, we're ramping Dawn while we do this, so we end up kind of time warping sometimes if we play this out on turn 2, cheating it out with our leader effect, and then they swing everything into it. Okay, cool. Next turn, we're on 1 Dawn extra, and we're moving on from there. So a really strong card, and it kind of forces your opponent's removal immediately, and that's going to make your Doflamingo a little bit safer, and this is a really strong card in the deck. It's a 5-cost 6K with a 1K counter and blocker, and end of your turn, if you have 2 or more rested characters in play, set this character as active. Okay, so we can swing with him a lot of times and stand him up with his end of turn effect. We're also running Don Quixote Rosinante as a 2 of. This is a 3-cost 4K, 1K counter blocker. And when opponent attacks, once per turn, set this character as active. Okay, so understand how that works. You will still have a chance to block with this character. So the way that sequencing works there, so your opponent will declare an attack. Okay, so the when attacking, any kind of when attacking effect will happen then. And then Now now that your opponent has declared an attack and they've resolved any of their when attacking effects, now your when opponent attack effects can resolve. So you'll get to stand this guy up, and at that point you'll still be able to block with this card if needed. Okay, so just remember that when you're using this card, especially if you're playing live without the assistance of the sim. Okay, next up we have Ace. This is just a 2k counter in the deck, but the on play says if you have 2 or more rested characters in play, rest up to one of your opponent's cost 5 or lower characters. It does have very strong utility in that way, but it's mainly just a 2k counter. Next up we have Lim. This is a 3 cost 5k searcher, no counter on it, but on play, top 5 search for Odyssey other than cards named Lim, and then end of your turn, if you have 3 or more rested characters in play, you can set this character as active, so you can stand it up if you have enough characters rested. Next up we have Newgate. This was a really nice card. It's just a 5 cost 6k 1k counter, like huge body character, and then on play, if you have 2 or more rested characters, you can rest down a 5 or less and then KO a rested 3 or less, so it has a lot of utility in that way. Now another card we got in OP10 that is just an absolute beast right now for what this deck is doing is Enel. It's a 5 cost 6,000 power 1k counter with an on play, if you have 2 or more rested characters, draw 3 cards and discard 2 cards from your hand. That's a draw 3 trash 2. Understand how that works, by the way, guys. If you swing with one character, not your leader, it does not count leaders, it counts characters on the board. If you swing with just one character for the turn and then play out an L, where he would be your second rested character per Lim's effect, right? So you have one character rested from attacking, then you play out the Enel, he enters play rested, and then watch this. On play, if you have 2 or more rested characters, draw 3, trash 2. Okay, well, he will work, he will count himself in the rested characters. So this is a really, really powerful effect. Next up, we have Dracula Mihawk. So this is kind of like restand law for supernovas. It's a 5 cost 6k 1k counter on play if you have 2 or more rested characters set up to one of your cost 5 or lower rested Odyssey type characters as active. So there we go. We're going to get to swing in with a character and then stand it up with our Dracula Mihawk. This is a very, very powerful effect. In fact, it's in a lot of ways, it's even stronger than the 5 cost 6k restand law. I mean, they both do the same thing, technically speaking, where you can stand up a 5 cost or lower character. But hear me out, or a 5 cost or lower, type-based character, right? For this, it's Odyssey, and for Supernova, it's Supernova for the restand law. But here's the thing, we can always play this out for 3 with Lim. Now, there are situations where you can do that with like red-green law, where you can play out the restand law for 2, technically, and stand up some big characters in that way. Like, your 5 costs, you can stack them full of Dawn, smash in, restand them, and swing again, right? But hear me out, this is a very consistent, always have to pay 3, and then it comes into play rested, and if that character's already rested, it kind of fulfills its own, requirements. If you have 2 or more rested characters, set up to one of your cost 5 or lower rested Odyssey type characters as active. So you see what happens there. Like, let's just give an example. Say you have like this Sabo on, or let's just say you have this Doflamingo on the board, right? And you're just trying to swing for lethal. Okay, you can swing for 5 with your leader, just to get a card out of their hand, and then load up 7 Dawn on your Doflamingo to swing for 13, and then play out, now he's rested, right? Now you play out your Dracula Mihawk with the leader's effect for 3, and stand the Doflamingo, because you have 2 characters that are in play rested right now, because it counts himself, right? Stand up the Doflamingo, swing again, and then if they somehow survive, by the way, now you have 2 or more rested characters, and his end of turn effect will allow him to stand up as well. So it's a very powerful synergy there within the green-purple Lim Odyssey, archetype or whatever. Okay, next up we have Nami. This is just a 2k counter, but it does have on play, if you have 2 or more rested Odyssey-type characters, up to one of your opponent's rested Dawn will not become active during the opponent's next refresh phase. That's probably going to come in very handy into the blue-purple Luffy matchup in OP11, but until then, it's just a solid 2k counter. We'll take it. Then we have Lim. This is just a 1 cost, 0 power, 1k counter Lim, but listen to the utility that this card has. First, I'm going to read the end of turn, then I'm going to read the once per turn. At the end of your turn, you may set up to one of your Odyssey-type characters as active. So you can set her as, the Lim as active, or one of your other characters as active that's Odyssey-type and protect them. However, it has another really interesting, very powerful effect here. Once per turn, if this character were to be removed from the board by one of your opponent's effects, you may instead rest one of your Odyssey characters. So she can even rest herself to protect herself from removal. And it's if this character were to be removed, you can rest any Odyssey type character to save it from that one removal effect. So really powerful stuff there. running the 2 Shanks, and then we're running 4 Usohachi. Okay, so that's pretty much the entire list. I do think it's running very well. There was a card that some other people were running that I saw. The other decks that I checked out, some people were running this Nico Robin. It's a 4-cost 5k, 1k counter with an on play that says if you have 2 or more rested characters in play until the end of your opponent's next turn, all of your characters with the Odyssey or Straw Hat type cannot be KO'd by effects. I'm not a huge fan of this card in the deck, to be honest, but it's still very good. I'm not saying it's a bad card. I just don't like it personally. I actually don't think... I probably will not be running this card unless Black makes a big resurgence after all the bans and stuff. If Black becomes a problem in the format, then I'll probably add 1 or 2 of these into the deck. And what I would do to add these 2 is I would probably go -1 Mihawk, -1 Sakazuki, and go up to Nico Robins. But that's just me. Okay, well, that's about it, guys. That's all I remember talking about in here. There are some other cards to talk about still, like this Monkey D. Luffy. Pause and read this if you don't know what it does. This 5-cost 6k Sanji. There are other cards to consider, but I think the ones that are in the list here are like the best all-around cards. And then the one how do I say this? Well, it's not the only card that's not Odyssey in here, but this Usohachi is like the only 2k counter we're running that's not Odyssey. And it is just a really high quality card. But if you don't have access to this card, because this is probably the most expensive card in the deck other than the 2 Zoros. And by the way, I don't think you have to run Zoro at all. In fact, if I were to make a replacement for Zoro, if you don't have the money to spend on Zoro right now, guys, just run 2 Charlotte Linlins or go up an ADO or go up some Shanks. It's up to you. It's up to your decision. And one other card to talk about, I almost forgot about this. This is another really good card in the deck because it comes right into play rested anyway, and then we can attach a Dawn to it and go from there, okay? Because remember, the way that this leader works, let me explain this. You're going to be ramping to 9 or 10 Dawn very consistently. Say you go first, right? If you go first, okay, 1 Dawn pass. Next turn, you're on 3 Dawn, but you're going to ramp to 4. Next turn, you're on 6 Dawn, ramping to 7. So you'll go straight into your 9 Dawn turn if you go first or second. If you're going second, you go straight to your 10 Dawn turn. But even if you're going first and you'll get straight to 9 Dawn, that's why there are so many 9 Dawn characters in this deck as your top end. Well, with Eustace Captain Kidd, he's basically a 9 Dawn character because you want to play him out and attach a Dawn to him. So there's the 9th Dawn, right? And then rest him down. Well, in this deck, he gets rest down automatically with the leader's effect, and then you just attach a Dawn to him. So you won't get to use the activate main on the first turn you play him, but it doesn't matter. For 9 Dawn, you're playing out the Eustace Kid, attaching a Dawn, and you're off to the races. So really powerful option there. If you cannot afford these Zoros, I would recommend the Eustace Captain Kidd, and then I would also recommend the 9-cost Linlin. Those are the 2 big recommendations I have there. Okay, and I think that was about it. Oh, other than that, the Usohachi's the next most expensive card in here. And if you just type in C2000 with green and purple cards active, you can look through all the 2K counters you want to try to include in the deck. Tashigi would be a decent option here because it can help protect your board. Well, actually, it really can't, though, right? That's the thing about this deck is it can't really run Tashigi because it's going to come into play rested. So I would be careful with that. I probably wouldn't run that at all, to be honest. Maybe the Sanji here is a decent 2K counter. You guys tell me what you think for other good utility 2K counters you could run in the deck. I think Usohachi's good because he just on play rests something. Same thing with the Izos here. Comes into play, rests a 4 or less. There are some other options. And it really is just going to come down to your preference. If you want to run, if you can't afford Usohachi right now and you don't want to run it in the deck, you could also even run a searchable 2K counter. I think his name is Crocodile. Hang on, I'm not seeing it. Let me just type in Croc. Maybe he was not a 2K counter. I might be thinking of something else. No, excuse me. This was not a 2K counter, but this is the card I was thinking of. So let me just see something real quick. So for the Odyssey cards for the 2K counter spot, let me see. We might just have the 2 right now, guys. That might be the... So we have the Ace, and then I think we have the Nami, and that might be it right now, guys. That might... Oh, no, here's one other one, but it's a promo, so this would be another option, but I have no idea how much this costs off the top of my head, just to give you guys a heads up. But other than that, I would just find whatever 2K counter you want to put in the place of this one. Okay, now, that's enough yapping. Let's go ahead and get into some games on the sim. Okay, first game up, guys. We got against Red Shanks. Volume is off, speed is on 2x, and here we go. So, like I said, first game up we have against Red Shanks. I try to get some decent meta matchups, guys. We're going to be going over a game against Red Shanks, Blue Nami, Blackbeard, Purple Luffy, and Red-Green Smoker. I tried to get some pretty decent meta-relevant matchups for today's video. So right here, we're going to go ahead and cheat out the 3-cost Lim 4-3. We're going to use leader effect, so we ramp a Dawn. And they're going to go ahead and Building Snake. They did a double Building Snake to start this game off to get rid of our Lim early on. That's probably very smart. I'm not going to lie, guys. I think that's probably pretty smart of them. Now we're we're going to play out the Lim for 3, and we're going to ramp it on with our leader effect and play out it looks like we're going to play out a Doflamingo. Pause. So we have to talk about something real quick, guys. There is an incredible thing you can do with running Lim going first. So remember what we were saying earlier. Turn 1, we're going to play out a character and pass if we can, the 1-cost Lim if possible. And then turn 2, we're going to go up to 3 Dawn, and then ramp to our 4th Dawn, and then play out a character based off that. And then on our 3rd turn, we're going to be on 6 Dawn. Now, think about what that means if we have the 3-cost Lim in our hand. It means we can play that out for 3, and then we still have 3 Dawn left for the turn to work with our leader's effect. So we're going to do that first every single time, playing that out on our 3rd turn. That's when you really want to play out your Lim, unless you have multiples in your hand like we had in this case. We had 2 Lims to go through. So on our 6 Dawn turn, which is turn 3 going first or second, right? Going second, we'll have 7 Dawn, but going first or second, we'll have 6 Dawn on turn 3. So here's what we do. We're going to play out the Lim first to do a search, and that's going to come into play rested, and then with our remaining 3 Dawn, we're going to ramp with our leader effect and cheat out a 5 cost, which is what we did right there. That is a very, very strong turn going first or second. That's what we're going to try and go for every single time if we can. Okay, so we're going to stand up the Doflamingo at the end of turn because he says if you have 2 rested characters, you can stand him as active. So now we have a 6k blocker. He might try to get rid of this, though. He might try to get rid of it with the Building Snake, maybe with some type of removal in hand, maybe a 5-cost Marco. Okay, so let's see what our opponent tries to do here. They're going to -3 there and -2. So they did -3 to the Doflamingo, and they did -2 to the Lim, and they're going to get rid of that card. I'm not sure why they did that, maybe just to stay aggressive here. I don't think they needed to use the Building Snake in that way. I don't think that was necessary. Okay, but hey, that's what our opponent chose to do. Maybe they're trying to make it, like I said, where I don't get free value from my Doflamingo this turn. Not sure. And now they play out the Lucky Rude, getting rid of my Doflamingo right away. That was pretty good, and they did -1,000 power to our leader. Well, now guess what, guys? We get to play out a 9-cost character. Standing some Dawn is active. Then we're going to use the leader effect, and we're going to slam down NL, and we're going to get to do a draw 3 trash 2. Very, very powerful. Oh gosh, guys, the mustache is going crazy. It's tickling my nose right now. Might be time to trim up the mustache soon, right? Okay, here we go. They go ahead and thought they thought they were just going to pop my character right here. That was a strict blunder. I don't know what's going on unless they're trying to get me to attack into their new gate. And we'll have to see what happens here. That might not be in the cards for us, guys. We might not be doing that. We swing for 5. They use their leader effect right away. We're going to swing for 6, swing for 9, and now they're taking both of those, and we are going to get rid of that character with a Shanks. And now, I don't think I mentioned it when I was going over the deck build, guys, or going over the deck in the cards. But ADO has another effect. He has an on-play effect if your leader is Odyssey to stand up 3 Dawn is active on play. But then he has a when opponent attacks effect to rest a Dawn to give a character plus 2,000 for the turn. And it looks like we're going to do that right here. So we're going to go ahead and tap a Dawn, go plus 2,000, excuse me, for the battle, not for the turn. And then we're going to go 2k, 1k to get out of it. Let's see what I give him. I give him the NL there. I think I probably should have given him the Newgate or the other Doflamingo maybe, but that's okay. I think we're going to rest down the blocker here and try to get super aggressive. Okay, let's see what happens here. We can also just start attacking for 6s. This could be really devastating for our opponent. Let's see what they choose to do. All right. So they're going to 2k counter out. They did not use their leader effect. We're going to go ahead and rest down the blocker now. That is a 6,000 power blocker. And now we're probably going to just keep going at face because we have another way to rest the blocker next turn as well. Guys, if you have all these options to get rid of the blocker in your hand, why waste the removal, right? That's kind of the logic there, is why waste the way to rest the character down? Or why get rid of the character swinging into a bigger character like this when I can just rest it down next turn? Okay, so here we go. We're going to stand up 1 Dawn is at, or excuse me, we're going to play out the Doflamingo, stand him at the end of turn. We have a blocker now. We have 1 Dawn set as active where we can help protect our characters on the board. And let's see what they choose to do. This is a very tough turn for my opponent. This is going to be a very, very tough turn. They're down to 1 life, and we're just flooding the board. They play out a Silver's Rayleigh. That's pretty good in this situation, guys, because they have a 10-cost 12k Shanks on the board. Let's see what they choose to do. Okay, so let's pause and talk about that for a second. I don't think that was necessarily... well, no, I'm sorry. That probably was the right play. So what I was going to say was, I don't know if they should have gotten rid of the Doflamingo, but now that I'm looking at it, that might have actually been the right play because they just had to do a -2 to get rid of that because of the -1 already in play from the 10-cost Shanks. And then they did -3 on the ADO. They're trying to get rid of that card because he has the way to help protect the board. So let's see what they choose to do here. I think the right call was actually to just keep going for face and not ever go for my board as Shanks, because I think they might have been able to stall one more turn and go for lethal next turn or something like that. I'm not sure. It's hard to say. Okay, so what are they going to do? They're going to swing 6 into 5, I believe it is, and then 13 into 11. Okay, well, we have exactly enough to get out of this with a 2K, and now it's going to go back to us. They go ahead and just give up. Hear me out, guys. The way that this was going to go was, okay, my next card's NL, so we're going to save 3 Dawn for the end of turn to do a draw 3, trash 2, but I don't even think it's going to come down to that. Our ADO will be weak. I will say that. Our ADO will be a 5K, okay? However, if we attach 1 Dawn, we're swinging in to get an answer out of hand. They did have a 1K, and a 2K, and then they were going to have a 1-cost Event Searcher as the top card of their deck, so they might have found something from that. I don't remember if that is a draw 1 card trigger or a activate main trigger. I can't remember, but whatever the case is, once we start swinging in with these other characters, remember, we'll probably just swing for 5 with ADO to force a response, and then 5 with the leader, and then with our remaining 3 attacks, that's where we'll get super aggressive. That's where we'll get super aggressive, and if it doesn't look like we're going to be able to win based off that, then we play out the NL, do a draw 3, trash 2. Okay? So good stuff there. That was hey, I'll tell you right now, though, if we did not survive, or if we did not win on this next turn here, then they were going to be able to play out a Goldie Roger and go for lethal. And we would have had no cards in hand. We'd have probably been able to find maybe 1 2K counter with an L. So actually, let me do the math on that. So yeah, we actually would have been fine. So even if they play out Goldie Roger and we got them down to 0 life, if we somehow did not win on the crackback here, what would have ended up happening was if they try to slam down Goldie Roger and swing 5, 8, 12, 13, we actually can get out of the... We would find some type of counter from that NL draw 3, trash 2, and go about things from there. Either way, good game to my opponent. That was a fun one to start. Okay, so that was the first one. So we had a game versus Red Shanks. Now we got a game versus Blue Nami. We got a game versus Blue Nami here. And I will say, this deck is actually very well suited for dealing with Nami if that ever becomes a card in the format, or excuse me, a deck in the format that gets, some, if it starts seeing play again. Because I do think the format's going to slow down quite a bit going into OP11. I don't know about OP10. We'll have to see about OP10. But OP11, I do think things are going to slow down a little bit. We'll have to see, though. I say that. I'm not really sure. But I think Blue-Purple Luffy's going to force things to slow down a little bit. But hey, who knows? Maybe at that point, people will start trying to counter it with more aggressive decks like Bello Betty, Zoro, and so on. Real quick, let me see something. Volume is off. Speed is on 2x. Okay. But I'll say this. If Nami does ever make any kind of resurgence, guys, this deck right here is really, really, really good at dealing with Nami. Because you spread the board so quickly, so consistently. You go so wide, so fast with a bunch of 6K bodies. And you have Zoro in the deck, I mean, it really can do a number on Nami. So right here, we do a draw 3, trash 2. We're going to swing for 6 into 1 right here and draw a card with the effect because we have 3 rested characters now after he attacks. They're going to go ahead and return the Kaya back to hand and try to save the Nami for an extra attack. We're just going to swing 5 into it. It's gone. I don't know if Nami should have done that. I know they had a lot of cards in hand. That's why they probably did it. But I think they probably should have just waited. Okay, so let's see what we choose to do here. We are going to Rampadon and cheat out a Sabo. Then we do need to swing a few times here so that way we can draw a card. Actually, we might not, excuse me. We're going to play out the Sabo, excuse me, the Enel here, and we're going to do a draw 3, trash 2. Well, we don't need this Shanks or this Lim anymore. We're going to pass the turn back, and look at this. We're going into turn 4. They're on their 8 Dawn turn, and we have a full board. We're going to be on 10 Dawn, and we're going to be swinging for 7s across the board already on turn 4. Okay, so make sure you do your sequencing properly with this kind of deck. Remember how Sabo works. You have to have 3 or more rested characters in order to draw a card from his effect. We're going to swing for 7. We're going to swing for 7. They're going to White Snake, which I don't know how much I love that. But hey, real quick, I do have to do some math here and see what they're going to do. So we're actually probably going to swing for 6s first here. So now that they've pulled the trigger on a White Snake and they only have 1 Dawn left, I will be swinging 6 and swinging 6 here. That was a 1K out of hand. They took that 6K hit. Now watch this. We're going to swing for 7. They're going to probably have to use a 1-cost 3. Okay, I was going to say a 1-cost 2K. but they end up having to, they 2K counter out. They take this next one. We're drawing cards like crazy. We're going to play out the Mihawk, swing 8 more. They only have 1 Dawn active, and now it's their turn. Guys, this is a bad spot to be in. They're in a really rough spot. They're going to play out the Kaya. They're going to do a draw 2, trash 2. They played out an Usopp. Yeah, that Usopp's not going to save him in this situation, right, guys? They have 21 cards left in their deck still on turn 6, right? We're just now getting into turn 6, and we went first. And they're in a lot of trouble. So here we go. We're going to swing for 7. They use a white snake early on, so now we're going to swing for 7 more. Let's see if they want to use another white snake. They do not. We're going to swing for 7 to draw a card. They're going through all their 1-cost cards. They still have 20 cards left in deck, guys. What are they going to do here? I have no idea. We're going to swing 5 into Mr. Hanger. That's just a free one there. That's a freebie. And then we still have all this Dawn left to work with. And we're going to swing for 8 now. Draw a card with that. Okay. Now we're going to swing for 8 more. And let's see what happens here. We'll swing in for 8 into 6. They're going to take that. Any trigger? Nope. We're going to pay 3. We're going to play out the Enel here over one of these cards. Do a draw 3, trash 2. Hey, we don't need Zoro anymore. It's a little late for Zoro, right? But I think we're doing just fine. The card we're trying to go for is another Mihawk. Mihawk, okay, and then we top deck it right as I say that. Mihawk is the all-star in this matchup, allowing us to attack multiple times for the turn. And guys, we're just going to 7 them across the board. There's no getting out of this. There's no getting out of it. GG to my opponent. This deck is probably a hard counter or very close to a hard counter against Nami if you're going wide on the board like this and you just swing 2 over every time, guys. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen people throw Nami games. Hang on real quick, guys. Let me get this off my chest. I've seen it locally. I've seen it in many different ways. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen people just throw Nami games because they're trying to swing for 9, 10, 11, 12, these crazy numbers. Now, don't get me wrong. If you have a bunch of 9Ks on the board and that's your minimum swing, that's different. But guys, if you just fill the board out as early as possible and swing 7s as wide as possible, well, let me say 2 over as wide as possible. So if they're at 5,000 power, you swing for 7. And if they're at 6,000 power, you swing for 8. Okay? I would still at least swing for 7 in that situation in case they have another white snake or something. But the bottom line is always try to swing for 2 over as wide as you can on the board. Okay? That is the trick that I've come across in dealing with Nami. And Lim does it very, very well. I will say that right now. Okay, so we did red Shanks. There's blue Nami. Now we got a game versus Blackbeard. What about against Blackbeard, guys? How does this deck fare? How does this deck do against Blackbeard? The answer is okay. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I don't think it's like insane, but it definitely has a good matchup because of how easily it fills out the board. And we did not get a good pull, guys. Let me tell you right now, this pull is terrible. This pull is absolutely terrible for what we're trying to do, but we're going to try to make the best of it. We're going to play out a Sabo. And now next turn we'll be on 6 Dawn, but we have no 3-cost play here to combo with it. And I will say against Blackbeard, I would have played the Lim on this turn if I could, just to get the value for sure, because we never know when he's going to start using his leader effect. Okay, because they did counter out early. They actually countered out very early against us, but I guess they're probably just respecting the fact that we're going to swing wide on the board. They swing 7 into 6. We're going to 2K counter out of that every single time that we can, and now it's going to be our turn. Okay, so we still can't really do anything too special here, but look what they're doing, guys. They actually did not... they did not use their leader effect, so we're going to capitalize. We're going to swing 5 into the 1K here. Okay. And now we're going to swing for 6. We don't get to draw a card. You have to have 3 or more rested characters. But we are going to play out this Enel, and we're going to punish them for not using their leader effect. They should have used their leader effect, guys, but they're playing a little too cautiously, not taking enough life here. They're countering out aggressively, but not using their leader effect. I'm sure they're going to start using it now after the turn we just had, because look what we just did there, guys. We played out a 5-cost 6K body that drew through, that allowed us to do a draw 3 trash 2, and then we played out a Lim that also allowed us to do a top 5 search. So we just got a lot of value there that we probably should not have gotten. Okay. All right, so let's see what happens next here. They're on their 6 Dawn turn. We're about to be on our 9 Dawn turn, and look what we have in our hand. We have a 9-cost Zoro in our hand. So let's see what they can do here. That doesn't mean, hey, it's not the, they probably will have an answer to it. Let's see what happens. Speeds on 2x, volume's off, just making sure everything's good here. And let's see what they choose to do. They're going to swing for 7. We're going to 2K counter out of that. They swing 7 into 6. We're going to counter out of that pretty easily. Then they're going to play out a Shiryu to get rid of our Lim. That's unfortunate. Right, that is unfortunate, but hey, it's okay. We've got a plan for them here. We're going to swing 5, swing 6, drop a 9-cost on them, right? That's our game plan right here. And remember, guys, they have been aggressively countering out up to this point. They have been aggressively countering out. So right here, we're going to, so watch how we have to do this. We have to swing with the Enel first, then Sabo to draw the card. They get a I bid 500 million berries. They got very lucky there, man. They got very, very lucky there, I have to say. That was unfortunate because we were about to be able to swing in for 6 more with Sabo and draw a card with it, because what we would do is we'd play out the Zoro first. So it'd be swing 5 Lim, swing 6 Enel, play out the Zoro, so we have 2 rested characters, swing with this when the Sabo, he counts himself, and then you draw a card from that, and we'd get an extra attack in. But they got a very, very lucky trigger, I must say. They got a very fortunate trigger there. They swing for 13 into 9. They have exactly enough to, for us to not be able to get out of it. Actually, we needed a 2K more counter, but that's okay. Now, in this situation, we can go for the Shiryu, but I think we're actually going to go for their hand a little bit more here. I think it's more important to go for the hand. They did not use their leader effect again, guys. They did not use their leader effect, and we're going to try to capitalize on that right here. We're going to do a 3. We're going to use the leader effect to cheat this out for 3, do a draw 3, trash 2. And we're going to get rid of the Lim and this Edward Newgate. We're going to play out a Sakazuki to get rid of the Shiryu and play out the 1-cost Lim, and we're going to stand her up to so she can potentially stand up stuff next turn. So they're going to go ahead and use a Shigan Finger Pistol right here. Or excuse me, no, they're not. They're trashing a card with the stage to do a top 3 search. Then they use This Is My Era for 1. And our board is looking pretty ferocious right now. And now we do have a 2K counter to help us protect the board. They use Shiryu to try to get rid of my Lim. I'm going to rest the Lim down to protect it. And now they have 6 Dawn left for the, or 5 Dawn left to work with here. Let's see what they choose to do. Probably play out a 5-cost Kuzan if I remember correctly, or if I had to guess, that would be the best play here. And then they could draw a card with that and get a card back from the trash. We can't save the Lim there. There's no point. And now let's see what they choose to do. Play out a Kuzan and pass the turn. Yep, okay, so here we go. It is time to get super, super aggressive here, guys. And we're just going to go swing 7, swing 7, swing 7. You know, we're just going to absolutely go in as much as we can here. We're going to swing for 7 a bunch of times. They do 2K, 1K to get out of that. We'll swing for 7 more right here. They take it. Okay. They get, This Is My Era. We're going to swing for 7 more, and that's going to be game. So what we had left for the turn, again, guys, they did not turn off our on-play effects because we're being so aggressive. They don't have extra cards in hand. If they use the on-play effect, if they use their leader effect, then we get to, you know, how do I say this? We get to attack even more aggressively because we have perfect math in hand. Right, so there was basically no way out of that, but because they did not do the leader effect, now we're going to play out the Mihawk to stand up one of our cards and swing for even more to finish out the game. Good game to my opponent there. That was a close one. That was a tough one for them for sure. Okay, next up we have a game versus Purple Luffy. Okay, we got a game versus Purple Luffy. Speed is on 2x, volume's off. Here we go. Whoops. Almost knocked over my drink, guys. That would have been unfortunate. right in the middle of the recording, right? That'd have been terrible. Okay, so we play out. So we finally get a 1-cost Lim on turn 1. Seems good, guys. It's about time. And we're going first against Purple Luffy. This is a pretty good game for us so far. We've got a pretty decent hand as well. We are going. So remember, guys, don't play out the 3-cost Lim on curve in this deck. Wait 1 more turn to play that out so we can get the full value from it, okay? So watch this. We're going to be on 6 Dawn next turn. We played out the Sabo. We get to stand him as active with the Lim's effect, the 1-cost Lim. And, man, we're in a very good position now, guys. We're in a very, very good position this game. They're going to swing for 5. We are going to aggressively take that. We could have countered out for 2K with the Nami, I think. I don't think we should have used the Enel. But using the Nami there would not have been the end of the world. That would not have been the worst-case scenario. Okay, let's see what our opponent has up next here. They've got 5 Dawn. I don't think they've used the leader effect. Yeah, I don't think they used their leader effect. Or maybe they did. I'm not sure. But here we go. Let's see what we do here. We're going to play out the Lim now for 3. We're going to swing for 5 first. We're going to swing for 5 first. Then we're going to play out the Lim. And then we're going to see what we get. Oh, nice. We get a Mihawk in there. Oh, that's very tempting to get the Mihawk, but getting a 2K counter was a little safer. So now we're going to use the leader effect to cheat out the Enel to do a draw 3, trash 2. I think we're going to get rid of the Sakazuki. Maybe not, because we did see that 5-cost Sangoro in their hand, and they countered out with it aggressively. We might try to use that later to get rid of a 5-cost or lower character. Then we swing in with the Sabo to draw a card, and then we stand up the Sabo with the 1-cost Lim. And again, guys, we're in a very good position, but you can't count Purple Luffy out, guys. You cannot count Purple Luffy out of the game. They have a lot of gas still left in the tank. They have 6 cards in hand. They have 3 life. They are purposefully not ripping cards from their life. I believe they're not taking cards from life to ramp Dawn because they want to slow the game down and get to the late game in a specific way. Okay? So let's see what they're going to do here. We're just waiting for the opponent here. We're waiting for the purple Luffy to make up their mind. They have some big decisions to make. Let's see what they choose to do. That Hitakiri Kamazo card is not really good against our deck because it can only hit 2 cost and lower targets. If he wants to get rid of my 1 cost Lim, that's not bad, but it's also not great. And this person did unfortunately leave very early on, because look what happens here. They have 4 Dawn left for the turn. If they want to swing into the Enel, it's probably just game over. And again, this Kamazo is just not going to do anything relevant in hand. And now they're in the situation. Now let me explain how this turn probably should have gone. I think after this here, they should have ramped a Dawn if they did not already, because we're at 7. We're at 7 Dawn. Maybe they did ramp a Dawn, guys. I can't remember. But whatever the case is, they still have a Gum Gum Giant in hand. They can try to attack into my board aggressively, like swing 8 into the board here, and then pass the turn sitting on 1 Dawn for a Gum Gum Giant. But in this situation right here, guys, they are about to lose really bad next turn, because we are going to smash, everything's going to smash into the face, first of all. And then we're probably going to finish our turn out with a Sakazuki for 6 to just clear up whatever card we don't want on their board anymore and go about things that way. They were in a terrible position. We were going to start drawing cards with the Sabo. We're swinging 4 at a time now. They gave up. They basically conceded, and I don't blame them. That situation wasn't over for sure on the spot, but they were in a very tough position. Okay, all right, next game we got a game versus Red-Green Smoker. Okay, volume is off, speed is on 2x, and here we go. So in this situation here, guys, against Red-Green Smoker, they are going to get to go first. We're going second, unfortunately. We typically always want to go first, but going second's not the end of the world. We do get to draw an extra card, and here we go. So now we're going to be able to swing for 6. We can usually only swing for 5, but we're going to swing for 6. We're going to ramp a Dawn, use our leader effect, and in this situation here, it looks like I'm about to play out the Lim, but I think I should have actually swung in with the Enel, and then... or excuse me, with a Lim, and then played out the Enel to do a draw 3 trash 2, but that's okay. We're going to take the 7k hit here. They're going to stand some Dawn as active, playing out another Sanji, swing for 8. We're probably going to 2k to get out of this. Yep, and now we're going to go for the board. Now we're going to go for the board. Let's see what we choose to do here. We have quite a few options. We can do here. We're going to go 5 into 4 first, and then we're going to go 6 into 4, and then we're just going to get rid of this Sanji here with our probably, okay, excuse me. Okay, that was pretty lucky. I think we probably should have played out the Sakazuki there, guys. But now we're going to ramp it on with our leader effect, playing out the 5-cost Newgate, resting and KOing their character there. Seems good, and we're going to stand it as active. If they want to swing into our Lim, that's fine. Whoa, okay, so we got a hyper-aggressive Red-Green Smoker list here, guys. This is an aggressive list for Red-Green Smoker, so you better believe it is time to do some countering here. Double 1k counter, that does not feel good. We're going to give him another 1k counter, and now we are in pure survival mode. So, guys, this whole entire game just flipped on its head. We are in pure survival mode. So now we are going for the board. We're not going for lethal. We're going for the board. Swing 5, swing 5, swing 6, swing 6. That is probably what we're going to be doing here. Actually, excuse me. I'm going to have to swing 5, swing 5, swing 5, swing 6, and then watch this. Okay, that gets, we take care of that card. I should swing 6 first. Just 6, not 7. 7, I think, would be a play mistake. We're going to swing for 6. They do save it, but watch this, guys. Now, we are going to probably just get rid of the card. Yep, so get rid of this card. It's got to go. It's got to go, guys. We can't let them have anything left on the board. Now we're going to replace a character on the board with the 5-cost 6k Doflamingo. Now we have a blocker. Their board is clear, and we have 1 life, and we have 1 2k in hand. Okay, now they have a Zoro on the board. That's less than ideal. That was less than ideal. They're going to play out the Zoro here. They're going to swing 6 and a 6, and we have to counter out. And, guys, it is time to go for game. So we just went from, okay, we're having fun, we're developing a board, to, oh, my goodness, everyone, defend the fort, everyone batter, okay, and then we end up swinging through here. So we went from completely whimsical, just having a good time, developing our board, into full damage control mode when they went double Zoro into us, full survival mode, into, okay, now we're in the pure aggressor seat. If we don't win this turn, we lose the game. So what did we do, guys? We're going to go over that one more time here. They swing in for 6. We end up 2k countering out, or whatever just happened there. I think they did 6 and a 6. We 1k out. So watch this, guys. Hey, when in doubt, hang on, let me just show you something right now. When in doubt, in this situation here, you just swing 7 6 times. Okay, that's what you do in this situation. we would have did two Dawn for Lim, 2 Dawn for Lim, 2 Dawn for the leader Lim, 1 Dawn on Newgate, 1 Dawn on Doflamingo. So that's 8. We'd have 2 Dawn left. So we could have swung for 7 5 times and then for 9. That was our only chance to get out of this game. Any kind of triggers he gets, we're in trouble. Swing 7, swing 7. This guy has to know now, like, oh yeah, I'm in trouble. I'm in a lot of trouble. He just leaves. It was over. But guys, that was a brutal game right there. That we were very close to losing that game when he dropped that. If we don't win the game right now, the game is over because they're going to swing 13 or something, you know, like 3 times. It would be swing 5 with leader and then load up 7 on 9. So swing 16 3 times. Yeah, it was over, guys. It was going to be game over on the spot. So we were all in right there. It was going to be 7 7. Hang on, 7 7 7 7 7 9. That was the order of business we had at the end there. That was our best bet. And hey, and sometimes it works out. In that situation, I think we were pretty safe, but still, that was a little too close for comfort. All right, good game to my opponents there. Those were some fun ones. Now let's check out the deck list one more time. We had 5 games to go over today. Yeah, we had Red Shanks, Blue Nami, Blackbeard, Purple Luffy, yeah, and Red Green Smoker. Nice. Okay, so as is, the list is performing very well. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see all these characters in action. Like, I don't think we got to see the Rosinante 1 time. I think we got to see this Lim card twice out of 5 games. You know, I guess better than nothing. But some of the big all-stars in this deck, I think, were the Sabo being able to draw his cards is insane. Excuse me, let me move my camera out of the way. Sabo was really good in every game, and Enel was really good in every game. The Newgate and the Sakazuki were surprisingly good, just helping us get the board under our control, and then we're just countering out of everything and just ramping every time. And guys, I think this deck is probably going to be a pretty budget deck to build if you just take out the Zoros, which, if I'm not mistaken, guys, I don't think the Zoro won us even a single game. I don't think the Zoro won us even 1 game. That's not to say the card is bad, but what I'm trying to say is if you're a new player, if you're a player trying to play on a budget, you're trying to build on a budget, you can easily build this deck and just not run this Zoro. Run more of the ADO card, run more of Shanks, or run more of these some of these other Odyssey type cards. There's a lot of options. Or actually, one option I will recommend right away is Charlotte Linlin. This card is just an outstanding card, and like I said, if you cannot afford the Zoros, just go Charlotte Linlin. If you cannot afford Usohachi, then I would recommend going the 3-cost Izo. I think this is a good replacement. Most blockers in this game are 4-cost and lower, so this on play is relevant, but I'm going to be honest, Usohachi is strictly better. Usohachi is strictly better, being able to rest down a 5 or less. That is the way to go, guys. Being able to hit a 5 or less right now is definitely the hot spot. That's what we're going for whenever we're trying to hit something based on cost, is being able to hit a 5 cost or lower. By the way, Ace does do that though, right? So Ace can rest down a 5 or lower character. Okay, if you have 2 or more rested characters in play, rest up to one of your opponent's cost 5 or lower characters. The Usohachi can do it. And I think our other 2K counter can mess with their Dawn a little bit, so that's fine too. But the idea is this: if you can't afford the Usohachis, you can just go Izo. There are some other options as well that I'm sure that I have not mentioned, guys. Tell me down in the comment section below if I missed a really good option. I'm trying to see. I'm just kind of blast through them. I think Sanji, but this card's a little expensive as well, so you're going from like one expensive card to the next. And it's not super expensive. I think Usohachi's a little more expensive than Sanji right now at the time you're recording this, but I could be off. You'll have to check what this 2K counter costs for this ADO. It's a promo card. If you can get this, I think it's a good idea. And that's about it, guys. Remember, the Tashigi's not very good, unfortunately, because Tashigi will get rested from the leader's effect when it enters play, and you have to rest the character to protect your other character. Okay, but that's about it, guys. That's about all we got for today's video. Tell me what you guys think in the comments section below. I'm really curious to see what you guys are thinking about Green Purple Lim. I had a lot of fun with this leader. This was one of those leaders I just queued up a bunch of games and had some pretty good results. I'm not going to lie. It did not take me a long time to get my games ready for this video. I know some people are going to say that one of the games wasn't great. Like, I think the Purple Luffy game was not incredible, I know. But at the same time, like I said, other than that one game, he kind of conceded early because he saw the writing on the wall. Like, I don't think he was crawling out of the hole he was in there, and that's really what this leader does, guys. This leader just goes, hey, we're gonna go tall. We're gonna go really wide and pretty tall pretty quickly. And if they can't deal with it, if they can't stay on pace with us, we just flood the board and run them over. So really fun stuff here. If you like board flood decks, you might want to give Green Purple Lim a try. All right, I'm done, guys. That's enough yapping for now. Be sure to hang out with us, though, guys, on the stream tonight. If you're listening to this video the day that I'm putting it out, every Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, we're streaming on YouTube from 9 p.m. Eastern to 12 a.m. So come hang out, and I try to answer the chat as much as possible. Okay, so, all right, let's wrap this up, guys. I appreciate everybody who's supporting me, guys, whether you're liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, viewing my stuff, using my TCG Player affiliate link, whatever you're doing to help me out and support the channel. I really appreciate it, whether it be through, supporting me through Patreon, PayPal, donations, Playmat supporters, YouTube members, Discord community, whatever you're doing to help out. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much, all right? All right, I'm done. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and yeah, till next time, guys, peace.